20-year-old Kayla Hamilton in Aberdeen, Maryland, just days before she was found dead, killed allegedly by a teenager in the U.S. illegally.
A voicemail, a desperate cry for help. Inside, her voice cracks. She knows someone is coming. She says his name. She pleads. But no help comes in time. Kayla Hamilton was 20 years old, diagnosed with autism, full of warmth, full of dreams, bound, strangled. Her last moments captured in a phone call none of us should ever hear. Her killer? A teenage member of MS-13, here illegally in the U.S. He didn't just take her life. He claimed there were others. He sent letters. He revealed more than anyone expected. And when Representative Jasmine Crockett called Kayla a random dead person in Congress, her mother erupted. The community demanded justice. This is unraveled crime. If you believe voices need to be heard, if you want truth and justice, subscribe now. Turn on notifications as we take you deeper into the stories that demand answers.
Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sparking outrage for appearing to dismiss the murder of 20-year-old Kayla Hamilton, who was killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant in 2022. The House was debating a Republican-led bill named after Kayla when the Congresswoman made these comments. Listen.
You take a situation and then you exploit what has happened to not only that person, but you exploit those families and you make it a game. Stop just throwing a random dead person's name on something for your own political expediency.
Joining me now is Jeff Gaylor, the sheriff in the Maryland County where Kayla was killed, and Kayla Hamilton's mother, Tammy Nobles. Thank you both so much for joining us. Tammy, what was your reaction when you heard the Congresswoman describe your daughter like this?
I was really furious because you just don't call a victim of a crime just a random dead person. No victim should be referred as a random dead person. Nope. We were there. I mean, they were there discussing her bill, and what she said was really nasty, and it came across as racist.
Tammy, what do you remember the most about Kayla from when she was a little girl?
She was a very happy and energetic child. She loved unconditionally, and she just loved to enjoy, she enjoyed her life. She lived each day to the fullest. She loved going to church. She loved God. And she really cared for animals and the homeless. And she was just herself.
She was just herself. Maybe the Congresswoman will hear your memories and your words of your daughter and think twice before so callously dismissing somebody that was a beautiful young girl who turned into a beautiful young woman created in the image of God. Sheriff, should anybody, especially a sitting member of Congress, call somebody who was murdered a victim a random person?
No, of course not, and thank you for allowing me. That breaks my heart to see Tammy on here talking about Kayla's life. Kayla was important. Her life mattered, and for Congresswoman Crockett to be so dismissive, so insensitive to a crime victim, any crime victim, it just speaks to the character of who we're electing from some jurisdictions around this country. That is. Pathetic is the best word I have for it.
It's worth noting that Kayla Hamilton and Rachel Morin were both killed in Hartford County, the county that you're the sheriff of. How does that happen?
Well, again, two women brutally murdered at the hands of illegal immigrants, people invited to this country by the prior presidential administration, and they took them up on it. They came and victimized our community, and there's nothing special about our county. That's happening across this country. But in our county, you hear about it because we're not going to let their lives be dismissed so, arrogantly, so insensitively, as we saw from Congresswoman Crockett.
Yeah, and neither of who were random, both whose lives deeply mattered. Tammy, it is the House was debating the bill that you said, the Kayla Hamilton Act, when the Congresswoman made these comments. So tell us about that act, and maybe we could use this moment to promote it as opposed to what she was hoping to do with what she was saying.
Yes, so the Kayla Hamilton Act is they will check, do an extra check for any UAC that comes across the border from 12 to 17, see if they have any gang tattoos. They are not, they already get medical checks as it is, and all they're doing is just looking, real quick to see if they have any, gang related tattoos. And also they will be required to do a background check in their country that they came from, because her murderer, he did have a criminal record in El Salvador in 2020 for illicit gang activity, and they did not check his background in El Salvador. They just checked his background in the United States and said that he had no crime. Well, of course not. He hasn't even been here yet. And also it will check the sponsors that they are giving these children to. Mm-hmm. They will check for their legal status, social security numbers, addresses, do full background checks on their sponsors, so we know who they're giving these children to. Not only we are protecting, our citizens, but we're also protecting the children against any, gang activity or any individual who's going to be caring for them.
Understood.
It's very important to protect the children.
To make sure that what happened to your daughter doesn't happen to anybody else. And it did just pass the House Judiciary Committee, so that's a good first step. Tammy, you brought a beautiful young woman into this world, and you are doing so much for her to be remembered, and she and you both made their mark. Certainly the opposite of random. Sheriff Jeff Gaylor, Tammy Nobles, thank you for joining us.
It was July 27th, 2022. Inside a mobile home in Aberdeen, Maryland, a young woman named Kayla Hamilton lived a life touched by autism, kindness, and routine. But that night, everything changed across social media, in local news stations, across state lines. A crime that seemed impossible, and the questions piled up. Who did this? How did someone like him slip through the cracks? And why did so many in authority later seem to lose sight of Kayla's humanity?
Well, after more than 2 years, the family of Kayla Hamilton is finally getting justice. On July 27, 2022, Hamilton's boyfriend found her brutally murdered inside of a mobile home in Aberdeen. This past Wednesday, her killer, Walter Javier Martinez, pled guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to 70 years. Investigators say Martinez had moved into an apartment in the same mobile home a few days before the murder. He was caught on surveillance cameras after the crime, and his DNA was found on Hamilton. Prosecutors say the final piece of the evidence came in the form of a voicemail recording of the murder after Hamilton tried calling her boyfriend when Martinez showed up.
So we had a very strong case, but that was sort of the piece of evidence. Sometimes it takes a little more to get the defendant to see where this is headed. And that was really what changed, I believe, the conversations.
Martinez is a confirmed member of the violent gang MS-13 and has confessed to 4 other murders, 2 rapes, and additional crimes. He was reportedly smuggled into the country illegally from El Salvador just 4 months before Hamilton's murder.
Kayla Hamilton was 20, diagnosed with autism, loved spending time with animals, quiet times, the little joys. Her family describes her as sensitive, bright, someone who saw beauty in simple things. She wasn't loud, but she was fierce in her own way, protective of her loved ones. She had dreams, just like anyone her age. She moved into that mobile home trying to build her world. A young woman with obstacles, yes, but with hope. No one around her suspected what would happen that night, late in the evening. Kayla's boyfriend receives multiple calls and voicemails. One of them, her voice trembling, possibly crying. "Please help me," she says. Then silence. Then a man's voice. Apologies? Perhaps threats. It's chilling. Walter Javier Martinez, from El Salvador. In the U.S. as an unaccompanied minor at the time, teenage gang member with MS-13 affiliation. He bound Kayla. He sexually assaulted her. He strangled her with a phone cord. Forensics would later trace phone pings that placed Martinez at the scene, DNA evidence, and finally he confessed. In writing, to a pastor back in El Salvador, he claimed more than just one victim. Her body was found, and shock rippled across Aberdeen, across Maryland, across the nation, because what happened here raised every
Hartford
parent's
County,
worst
a 19-year-old
fear.
illegal immigrant from El Salvador will spend 70 years in prison after pleading guilty to murdering 20-year-old autistic woman Kayla Hamilton in 2022. The convicted killer, also a member of the MS-13 gang. Tonight, we're hearing from Hamilton's mother after her 2-year push for justice.
I didn't want him to get away with it. I was really afraid that the way that illegal immigrants were being treated, that he was going to get away with it.
Fox 25's Vincent Hill has been following this case for more than a year. He joins us live with why Hamilton's mother says her fight isn't over. Vincent?
Yeah, Mary, first on Fox, a Maryland mother sharing that story about her daughter, and we're learning that there could be more victims, and Kayla could be the key to finding them.
Representative Jasmine Crockett stood before Congress. She referred to Kayla Hamilton as a random dead person. Destroyed silence, outrage, shock. Kayla's mother, her friends, the people who knew her, they did not hear a random daughter. They heard Kayla. In the YouTube video, Mum furious after Crockett calls murdered daughter a random dead person, Kayla's mother says something simple and searing. She wasn't random, she wasn't nobody, she was my daughter. The phrase fueled debate. The Kayla Hamilton Act was introduced, a proposed bill requiring background checks on unaccompanied alien children entering the U.S. to see if they pose a threat. Supporters said the act is needed. Critics warned of politicizing human tragedy. MS-13, one of the world's most feared gangs, known for brutality, for exploiting vulnerabilities. Martinez's case throws into sharp relief questions about how an unaccompanied minor could arrive in the U.S., allegedly join a brutal gang, commit horrendous acts, and navigate a system with gaps in oversight. But more than gaps, this case raises questions about compassion, victimhood, and how we honor a life cut short. Kayla's autism, her vulnerability. Did that make her a target? Did it make some people dismiss her? And when public officials reduce her to a random dead person, what does that do to the memory, to the demand for justice, to the acknowledgement that every victim deserves dignity?
Let me just tell you that there's no accident in the announcement of this lawsuit, because it was just yesterday that that young woman's mother testified before a House congressional committee that's hoping to impeach the DHS director. Today, her attorney says that this lawsuit against DHS is first of its kind. 20-year-old Kayla Hamilton in Aberdeen, Maryland, just days before she was found dead, killed allegedly by a teenager in the U.S. illegally.
He was only living there for 5 days before he brutally killed and raped my daughter.
Her mom, Tammy Nobles, was interviewed on Fox News the same day she testified in the GOP's effort to impeach Homeland Security Director Alejandro Mayorkas.
After we found out that he was MS-13, we were shocked. For me, this is not a political issue. This is a safety issue for everyone living in the United States. This could have been anyone's daughter.
We are suing for $100 million because we need to make change in this country.
Attorney Brian Claypool is Noble's attorney in a $100 million lawsuit against DHS, accusing the agency of failing to keep a known gang member out of the U.S.
Had Homeland Security done their job, and this was not a hard job to do, lift up a shirt, gang tattoo, phone call to El Salvador, he's on the list, he's back in El Salvador. Kayla Hamilton lives to get married, lives to have a child.
Claypool contends the federal government also failed Kayla by not confirming the then 16-year-old had the required sponsor in the country. He was placed in a rented room in the same trailer where Kayla lived. Once the suspect was under arrest, Homeland Security and Child Protective Services failed to keep the boy in a secure facility.
And the detectives later found out that he was not put in a secure location. They put him in an unsecured children's home with other children.
We believe this is a landmark case that's going to make new law in this country because we are alleging that Homeland Security breached what's called operational negligence. They had a protocol to follow, and they didn't follow that.
We did reach out to the Department of Homeland Security, but actually late in the day, so we didn't expect an answer back. Also, typically a federal agency will say something to the effect of, "We do not comment on pending litigation."
The trial is over, the sentence is handed down, but the story doesn't end there. Because what we still don't know is, are there more victims Walter Martinez claimed truly real? Did someone hear him before? Did someone see signs and remain silent? And now, the Kayla Hamilton Act awaits in Congress. Will it pass? Will it force change in a system that many say already failed her? If you believe Kayla deserves more than just whispers, if you believe her name should be more than a bullet point in a debate, then stay with us. Because up next, we're going to dig into these unanswered questions. Join the conversation, share Kayla's story, subscribe, and let's make sure we're never silent again.